Hello, I'm Ellen Horan, President and CEO of the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm here for this week's Member Spotlight with Alan Shuman. Alan is founder and president of the Shuman Development Group. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Good. I just noticed when I was kind of looking up a little history on your company, it's your 20th anniversary.
2014 is our 20 years. Yep, started in 1994, Shuman Development Group, and 5 years before that, so it's actually our 25 years, 20 as officially Shuman Development Group.
Okay. Talk to us about some of your early projects in the Reading area.
Oh, how'd
you get started?
Back in the mid-90s, 94, when we first started in Reading, it was really just doing some of the small 4 to 6 unit apartment buildings out on Perkiomen Avenue. Our first one on the 1300 block of Perkiomen Avenue, my wife and I lived in one little one-bedroom apartment, renovated the rest, and did another one on the adjacent block and another one further down the street. And by 97, about after 4 years of doing that, we saw that the downtown was really starting to turn around with the Downtown Improvement District and things like that. It was safer, cleaner, and that's when we started to move into the office and commercial structures.
Okay. So what was your first office building?
The Bear Building.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Was an interesting building. Went in, and the owner was so happy to see us. It had been up for sale for 5 years. We were the first ones to look at it in 3 years, and made us a deal we couldn't refuse. 100% financing and wrote us a check for $50,000. So
that's a good start.
So yep, it was a good start. But it needed a lot of work,
right.
and it's one big tenant at the time was just packing up to move out. That was Bill's Khakis.
Okay.
Was vacating 2.5 floors. And they've done very well since their move out. They really needed to move out of an office building.
Right.
So we ended up with a building that was almost completely vacant, so there wasn't a whole lot of value there. We needed the $50,000 to cover us till we got some tenants in.
Right. And then what were your next subsequent steps?
To renovations or to buildings in general?
Yeah, it seemed to be that kind of seems to be your mode of renovating and buying and renovating.
Yeah, we did some other buildings about the size of the Bear Building up and down 5th Street, the old A.W. Golden Building on South 5th Street.
Okay.
And then in 2001, Exide put their building up for sale, and we went and sat down with them. We were the only group interested in buying
That's 645
645 Penn Street. Yeah, we were the only group interested in buying it, so they were very aggressive in working out a deal. Yep. There weren't a whole lot of buyers, and there still aren't for single-user 100,000 square foot office buildings in Berks County,
right.
Let alone the city.
Right. Alan, that's one thing I always mentioned. Your passion for the city of Reading is quite commendable. You could be anywhere. You don't need to be in the downtown, yet you devote your focus to the downtown. In fact, tell our members what your website is, the name of your website.
Oh, investinreading.com.
That's his company website. Alan believes in the downtown, has a passion for the downtown, and you put your money where your mouth is. So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
In Reading. And you still see potential there.
Back over the last 10 years, we've evaluated cities up and down the East Coast, from Mobile, Alabama, all the way up to Buffalo, and as far west as Memphis. We've been in those cities, evaluated buildings in those cities, and I will tell you, out of all of the cities we evaluated, no city has more upside potential than Reading, Pennsylvania. So now that also means that it's not doing so well right now. That's one of the reasons why it has so much upside potential. But I've seen other cities that were just as bad and in the same kind of situation. And once you get leadership in place and the private sector, and they hold hands and put together a plan, it doesn't take more than 5 or 10 years to really turn it around. I mean, I was up in Allentown 10 years ago when they were begging me to do projects up there. And I told them, I said, guys, you don't really have much of a future here. You got to get something going in your downtown to for me to be able to sell a bank on providing financing.
Right.
Well, they started working on it. You can see what they're doing now.
Right.
Almost $1 billion of development in the downtown and immediate areas.
Right. Well, from the last projects we talked about, you had some other good projects. The M&T Bank building looks great there on
M&T Bank turned
Fifth
out
and
fabulous.
Washington. Yep.
That was another one of our historic projects,
Right.
where we went in front of the historic review board and they gave us pretty much a blank renovation sheet. Said do whatever you want. It's the ugliest building in the historic district.
Yeah, it was kind of.
So yeah, it was
looks
pretty
much
rough
better.
before.
Good job on it.
Thanks.
And then you took a little bit different step in acquiring the Abe Lincoln. How are you finding being a hotelier?
Well, hopefully I've got the right management team in place to handle the day-to-day operations, and I am still working on pulling together the financing and all the different tax credit pieces and stuff to do the big $15 million renovation that we're hopefully going to kick off in 2015.
Good. Okay, and then let's talk about Reading Outlet Centers and what you've been doing up in that area of the city.
Well, back in 2005, 6, and 7, we ended up having a lot of groups from out of town come into downtown Reading with a lot of Lehman Brothers financing, who was still providing crazy financing at that time. So we ended up selling a lot of our downtown office buildings and properties to those guys. So we ended up having the availability of credit and the availability of cash to buy some things. The outlet center went belly up. The whole thing was available. 10 buildings, 640,000 square feet of space, about 400 parking spaces on various lots and stuff. So we acquired the entire project and started renovating the smaller buildings. In 2010 and 11, we did the whole 800 block of Oley Street, which totals about 200,000 square feet of space there, including building the new Save-A-Lot shopping center in that whole area. And then just earlier this year, we pulled together all the financing and kicked off the Big Mill project, which has a little bit of a setback right now, but we are working on pulling that all back together, and hopefully we'll have that done by next October.
Good. Now, in referring to the old mill project, that was just about completed, and however, some arsonists got in the way.
Correct.
People are curious how you're doing and whether you're going to be able to restart that project.
I think we're going to be able to finish it. Put it this way, I anticipate we will. I always try to make sure the downside's covered. So I believe we were properly insured. We're still working out the details with the insurance company. And as long as we're at least in the ballpark, I'm willing to help a little bit from the shopping center across the street, which has been very successful in making sure that building's completed. Okay. One of the things my tenants across the street, the commercial tenants, don't like is the fact that there's been a big 6-story vacant building there for all these years.
Sure.
So I'd really like to get it done, and it's a fabulous project for that whole neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, that could be a game changer for that entire section of the city for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
now, I believe the last I heard, $100,000 was raised in reward funding for any tips on the arson.
Yeah, it's at least 100,000 now. There's various groups that have been throwing in money. Could be as high. I've heard some people say that it was up to 110.
Okay.
I'm not sure. The ATF pretty much handles all that.
Okay. And any leads of any note so far?
They don't keep me too involved in that.
Okay.
We've got the crazies who call our office every once in a while saying they know who did it, and everybody you can think of, all the way up to Santa Claus.
Yeah. We're getting the crazies calling about the Charlie Brown Christmas tree at the chamber, so we can relate. But yesterday we got a poem someone from Minnesota wrote about our tree, so I can relate to that. Well, Alan, your enthusiasm for the city of Reading, does it remain
Absolutely.
strong?
So absolutely, sooner or later we're going to get the right team in place that's going to turn this place around. And like I said, I've seen it in other areas. I've seen real estate values in some of those other cities where they turn things around go up 1,000% in 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
All of a sudden people are literally beating down the doors to move back downtown. You just have to make things right.
Okay, very good. Any suggestions, tips you have for other chamber members How about a tip for anyone going through a period of adversity, or a tip on disaster recovery preparation?
Well, we've had lots of those. It definitely builds character. That's what everybody keeps telling me. And this isn't the first time we've had some big issues. Back in 2003, Exide filed for bankruptcy on a 80,000 square foot lease we had with them, which was pretty devastating to us at the time. Just got to keep hanging in there. There have been days where I would say, 10 or 15 years ago, we were within 24 hours of closing our doors and, just showing up that day and working through it and trying to figure it out. And we managed to stay in business. And once you've been in business 5, 10, 15 years, it gets easier, a little easier.
Good. Well, thanks for being an inspiration to other business leaders, business owners. Thanks for all you do for the city of Reading, and thanks for being a member of the Chamber.
Great. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.